So now we can finally get talking about today. Firstly, onto the modern era, we'll talk about some of the breakaway states from Yugoslavia. Which, first of all, we have the Slavic Slovenia, which, out of all of the random Balkan and ex-Yugoslav states, has probably the best and most acceptable Human Developmental Index, HDI, and is quite far away from all the conflict. And their culture is basically just Slavic, but their own little spin on it. That's how they usually go with. They're really fairly well developed. They got good stuff, and yeah. Then just right next to them, they also have a very nice and progressive partner, Croatia, who is very well developed, and along with Slovenia, is a member of the EU and Catholic, and has a Catholic majority within it. Although its history and the conflicts following the Yugoslav breakup has led to having strained, to put it lightly, relationships between Bosnia and Serbia. Speaking of Bosnia, they're quite complicated, or should I say, the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bliko district, and Srpska. It is divided into three constituent groups: the Catholic Croats, Muslim Bosniaks, and Orthodox Serbs. They also have three presidents, which often have conflicting ideals through their alternating terms in office, which is like 8 months for each of them for 3-4 years, something like that. It's very chaotic, to put it simply. And they're each from one of the cultures: a Bosnian and Croatian one, elected by Bosnia-Herzegovina and the Briko district idea, and a Serbian one decided by Srpska. And then, wait a freaking minute. Wait a freaking minute. It's multi-ethnic, many conflicting ideals, cultures, and religions, and it has a frick ton of landmines and instability around, because the Yugoslav wars were centered in it. And this is it's another Balkans in it's another Balkans in, well, it's the Balkans in the former Balkans, in the freaking Balkans. How do you, man, let's move back here. How do you mess up that bad that after getting rid of the Balkans 2.0, you make the Balkans 3.0 in this just chaotic little area here? Serbia, Croatia, you suck. Alright, now back to where we were. Chaos. Just chaos. That's the best way I can describe this after doing this much research into it. And then, also speaking of the Bosnians, they have a little culture mix between like the Catholic stuff up here and like the Ottoman and Muslim influences, which has led to them having like really cool architecture and like a nice little mix between like Muslim faith and like mosques and all that with European architecture. Yeah, it's cool. It's chaos, but it's cool. And then moving on, we have Serbia, which remains largely the same as it did. Before the World War I, World War II, with Orthodox and Slavic mixed together, with a bit of militarism, and they're often the scapegoat, for good reason, of the Balkans. Although they do have one little thing that I'll talk about later that they don't exactly agree with, although you can get a little hint by where this is pointing. Then right next to them, we have the Montenegro, which is practically Serbia's little brother on the coast, and also is how the Serbians get their beach days. And nowadays and then back in the day they had a reputation for doing cool stuff, but now they're basically just the laziest country on earth with a literal lazy Olympics. So they're just They're just chilling. That's a fair way to cope with all the chaos going around them. And then moving on to the more controversial areas of the Balkans. We'll start off with the most controversial one, Kosovo. Kosovo is an Albanian majority, which is also a Muslim majority, breakaway state from southern Serbia, which fought a war of independence during and after the breakup of Yugoslavia and the following Yugoslav wars. After a long series of conflicts and UN intervention, Kosovo declared independence to the international community in 2008, partial recognition from UN member states. But the support for them has been declining, and even some of the surrounding EU and UN members don't exactly agree with them. For example, Greece and I think it's Bulgaria. Yeah, Bulgaria. But yeah, they're not having a great time there. Next, we'll move on to their biggest supporter, Kosovo's biggest supporter, Albania. They, of course, are Albanian and have a Muslim majority, although they have a lot of other religious and ethnic things which actually coexist, which is surprising. They also have the most isolated language in the world, with their linguistic terms having almost no connection or influence from other languages, except for its modern use of the Latin alphabet, or Latin and Slavic alphabets. But you're surrounded on this side by Latin and this side by Slavic, so you gotta choose one. Then to the east, both of those prior nations lies Macedonia. Sorry. North Macedonia since 2019. Similar to Kosovo, North Macedonia has numerous disputes and cultural conflicts with neighbors. The Macedonians proclaim that they are the direct descendants of Macedonian culture, the same one that, Alexander the Mediocre was from. Not Greek or Slavic culture, but their own little thing. Meanwhile, the Greeks dispute this claim as their original name. The Greeks dispute this claim, and as well as the Macedonians' original name, as Greece already has a province named Macedonia, as well as the fact that the Macedonians use the Cyrillic alphabet, which has Slavic influence, and is literally just use a Slavic language. So they're not really Greek or Macedonian, they're just like Slavic people. Which also leads into Bulgaria's dispute with them, who just see them as confused Bulgarians. And they just see them as Slavic guys who just don't think they're Slavic. They just think they're having an identity crisis. And then just over the west, the Albanians want a little slice of it, which has a significant Albanian minority right around here on that river. So they're kind of surrounding all fronts, which eventually led to them signing the agreement with Greece to change their name to North Macedonia. And in return, Greece would stop pettily blocking their attempted entrance into the EU. Now on to the two left to go. The biggest, as well as probably the best for you to be living in, besides Slovenia and Croatia, of course, but, We'll start with modern Bulgaria. They remain largely the same, their culture remains the same, keep Orthodox influences and a high national pride in culture, although many of their citizens may be not having a fun time, and they're just heading out. Well, until recently, but that everyone's just had a bit of people coming in from the north. So yeah, they're remaining basically the same as they were. I think Greece, despite its economic troubles, debt, and all those little things, survived millennia, literally like 3,000 years of existence, and retains its ancient culture and heritage, while looking towards the future of the people. Like, look at this. We had small group there, just dips, and then they come back really good, and it starts increasing slowly. So, now that all the chaos is mostly done and said, you now have a slightly proportional idea of how and why the chaos in the Balkans persists even to the modern era. But through the past, but though the past often determines the present, it does not have to determine the future. Many of the young men and women of these countries do not have the innate hatred for their neighbors that their parents and ancestors had gained through the countless struggles and conflicts between the cultures. And with the technology of today, they can see whole new worlds far from their land and have hope that their nations might be like those bustling worlds. Like even just Slovenia and Croatia. Like even just Slovenia and Croatia have greatly developed in like less than 20 years. And we have these guys in the EU, like the major like four of the nations are currently in the EU, and basically all of them are seeking EU membership as well. Albania has been seeking for a while, Macedonia as well, Montenegro, Bosnia has been recently, but they have a lot of troubles, so they're not exactly prime target. No Kosovo either, and then Serbia is also not exactly agree. They're in dispute with this, as well as some weird stuff going up north. So they're not also having a great time, but for the most part, they're getting good. Like, we have a bunch of cooperation down here. People want to get in. Funds provided to them for economic growth. They're all just interacting. And then with the technology of the day, random people can interact with random people randomly across the world. Whether that might be random Slovenian guy talking to a Bulgarian, Macedonian, Bosnian, or just random Bulgarian talking to, I don't know, Canadian somewhere over here. They can interact with hundreds of cultures and just have more stuff to do with them. And then also here's some of the EU's more stuffs. Yeah, like they've been going since. These guys are all. There's only two of them with no candidate status, and they're. I think it's actually outdated. Yes, it's outdated, so these guys might actually be good. Yeah, these guys are good, I think. Yes, you got all these guys doing stuff, and they're trying to get in. And then look at the economic growth here. Like Italy, of course, isn't involved in this. Like, get out of here. But yeah, like Slovenia's got that much GDP per capita. Hungary's doing good. Then these guys, although they currently have, they're not NATO members or EU members, but they're like, their economy is going up like significantly more than it usually was. So yeah, they're doing good. Like sometimes you can just hope for a better tomorrow. Like a random 14-year-old guy who's never held it. Well, no, I have held a gun back when it was illegal. Back when it was legal. Back when it was legal. So yeah. Kid can hope, can he? Well, hope for some cooperation and not, chaos, nuclear war, ethnic cleansing, none of that bad stuff. But hey, if they can get cooperative, with the dawn of cooperation, prosperity will follow. That's all, folks. And remember, light shines brightest in the dark. For example, yellow's a lot easier to see on black than it is on, like, I don't know, green. So yeah,